we're looking at recognizing functions from tables. This first question here lists government ministers in the legendary Kingdom of Neverland. And it's asking you, can the government offices be represented as a function of the ministers' names? Now, the key thing to look at here is the function of the ministers' names. What that tells you is that the input is the ministers' names, and the government offices is the output. Now, we've spoken before, talking about functions, how there needs to be a unique output for an input. So whenever you see the same input coming up, it should have the same output. So let's take a look through this table and see which ones we need to look at first of all. We're looking at the minister Peter here, and when we see Peter shows up further down. And what you notice right off is that in the first instance, Peter is mapping to the office of president, and in the second instance, he's mapping to the office of justice. Well, in a function, Peter cannot be president and justice at the same time, so this is not a function. And we'll take a look at a couple more. This next one here is talking about chopping wood in a forest. And the question itself, without going into detail, it's about insect repellent and mosquito bites. But the question itself is asking you, can the number of mosquito bites be represented as a function of the amount of repellent used? So the input is the repellent, and the output is the mosquito bites. So what you should see is you should see the same number of mosquito bites when you see when you see equal numbers of repellent being used. So looking through it, we've got 0 only occurring once, so that's not going to be useful. 1 is only occurring once. 5 is only occurring once. 4 here is occurring twice, and 2 is occurring twice. Now, why anyone would use 4 cans of repellent, I have no idea. That seems slightly excessive. But what we do notice is that when they do use 4 cans of repellent, they get 5 mosquito bites. So the 4 mapping to 5 is indicative of a function. And when they use 2 cans of mosquito bites, as you would expect, they get more. As they use 2 cans of repellent, they get more mosquito bites, and that's 9 mosquito bites for the 2 cans. So this here is a function. It is mapping to the same output based on that single input. Let's take a look at one more. Again, we're looking at the function, a function of the type of shoe. That's your output. That's your input. And the ice cream flavor is your output. So the types of shoe, we've got boots showing once, loafers show more than once. There's loafers there and loafers there. Sandals show twice. And those are the only ones we need to look at. Everything else shows just once. Loafers map to vanilla both times. However, sandals map to chocolate and banana, and that does not make sense to us. So that is not a function. So hopefully you get the idea here. Pay close attention to the order of things, because this bold sentence here tells you when you see that phrase, a function of something, that something there is your input, and whatever else you have is your output. And what you should see is that the input always needs to map to a single output. If you have more than one output, then it is not a function.